When I plan my attack, when I plan my attack, I doubt that you're ready. Rhymes like bullets penetrate your zone. One time on the MIC. When I plan my attack, I doubt that you're ready. Rhymes like bullets penetrate your zone. On the MIC.
Yeah. White on the track again, PPL is back again, coming for the Patty's twins, cause she the champion. It's the Pantheon Cup we all battle for. When rivals get to scrapping, it's a savage war. This is what we waited for. Finally, y'all, the time is here. Fantasy is back. My favorite fucking time of year. Light your bloods of time now. PPL is live now. The show where shit gets real, dog. We're all after the pie now. Gino in the jet, he hosts the show, uploading videos. He does it all from A to Z. You like the league to pay the fee or win it all and play for free. Play to be the best or lazy. It's a league of competition. Still the crown, that's the mission. Dog, it's time to get it cracking, plan your moves and start attacking. PPL is back in action, teams get mad, you know what happens. Hate each other, play with passion, build a team with trades and drafting. I think I done said my part, it's time for PPL to start.
When I plan my attack, when I plan my attack, I doubt that you're ready. Rhymes like bullets penetrate your zone.
PPL Live Final Four weekend. We are 2 weeks away from the close of another great season here on PPL Live. Gino the Gent here with my man Ulysses S. Haight. We're going to jump right into our wild card weekend scores. Starting with only for the Boston, the Leave No Doubt performance, getting the win and advancing to the Final Four. 160 to appease the gods, 115. And the United Players, the Destroyers, get it done behind Cooper Kupp's big week. 100, ending the season of no excuses of squad underestimated. It's 90. Alrighty, PPLers, we're here. We're ready for Final Four week. It's obviously a short week, not much to talk about. The meat and potatoes of these matchups are obviously set up. But before we do that, we got to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly of Wild Card Weekend. All right, Ulysses, you already know what's up, man. Give me your good, bad, and ugly of Wild Card Weekend, bro.
Yeah, I mean, good's got to go.
Wow.
Anybody looking, knowing that the heart and soul of this team lies with the Chiefs, I mean, he must have been upset that those first three quarters,
right?
It just wasn't popping. Again, that fourth quarter OT should let any of the teams remaining in the playoffs.
Right.
This team can go at any moment.
High alert.
And I mean, God, you look at what Mahomes did, and more so on what this team's done throughout the season. You know, going and getting a Justin Jefferson,
right?
Deebo Samuel,
right?
I mean, really, I've got to give kudos to this team for getting as far as they did without Calvin Ridley.
Man, this guy retired mid-season on him, man.
Exactly. I mean, you look at the adversity of what Boss did and where he ended last season. I mean, this guy lost in the championship. He has come back, and he's looking for vengeance right now.
Right.
I've got to say this, you know, I can't really speak more highly of a guy down the stretch. I mean, this team was really on the outside looking in for the playoffs.
You were hot about him on the stretch, man. You said that this was a team that you thought could get it done, and they're getting it done.
And, you know, I said it last week, and I think that they performed just as they did. I think that, you know, again, I said Kansas City was going to come out and get revenge on that Chargers game.
Right.
And I think that's exactly what we saw. They led it in a piece of gods. I mean, you know, they just didn't have enough there, but we're talking good here. That's only for the Boss. Going to the other side, bad, you know, I've got to go UP. I mean, even though UP gets this, I mean, I frankly, I don't know how. You know, he has. I talked so highly about what I thought Tampa Bay was going to be able to do in New Orleans. 0 points.
Right.
4 guys. He has 4 guys for the Tampa Bay Bucks, and they have 0 points.
You said there was a lot of eggs in that basket, man.
I mean, and you know, that's what we ended up seeing. You know, Sonny Michel, Cooper Kupp, I mean, actually, you know, saved the day. You saw, you know, again, he benefited from that Chiefs win. So, I mean, that OT performance really, I mean, ultimately, you know, Chiefs win that game.
Yeah.
I mean, won this for them essentially.
Right.
but it's a bad week. I mean, this guy needs to get things together. Chris Godwin's off. He's got a lot of question marks around health and who's going to be starting next week. And so, the UP, even though they get through here, they did it by the skin of their teeth. Really.
And they lost Chris Godwin. I mean, that was a bad thing for him.
I mean, again, it just was a bad week for the UP in a playoff win. So, again, whenever I go ugly, I mean, it's got to be squad. Unfortunately, again, and more so about this matchup. I mean, I'm going to say to a season. Right?
Okay.
This was from jump. This was season of no excuses. I mean, we're talking blockbuster trades. I mean, some of the most one-sided trades we've ever seen. Ever. Setting up this season, 2 first-round picks. And I'm going to say it, like, this guy, he's in the playoff. He lost to get into this spot.
3 straight.
He's never showed up. I mean, this just, like you said it, 3 straight losses.
4 with the playoff loss.
Arizona, I mean, garbage. Alvin Kamara, not the guy that he definitely
thought he got
in that trade. Yeah. I mean, this guy is not producing. Gordon, Cooper, where he got lost. I mean, Russell Gage, actually a good pickup. But then you look at Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts is the guy that you went out there, got that draft pick. Now you have him. I just look at this and I'll say with Christian McCaffrey, can't do anything with an injury, but I'll say in a season of no excuses, I think that squad would have been much better off not doing that trade. Keeping Mark Andrews, number 1 tight end. Okay. Keeping Deebo Samuel, wide receiver, and I think he's still playing
this week.
So. Yeah, I mean, I just think the composition.
That's ugly, yeah.
I think squad didn't have a problem with talent here. Again, it's about managing it. And I think, again, looking at the decisions that were made after last season, I'll be looking at this pretty stacked team about who he can't keep when I'm looking at building my draft board this season. So it was not a good season for squad.
Okay. All right, man. My good, man, I'm going to disagree with you, man. My good for week, wild card weekend, man, I got to go with the United Players, the Destroyers. Yeah, they weren't good, but they were good when they had to be. 31 from Cooper Kupp. A huge week when they needed it. In a clutch situation now, I mean, like I said, you don't have to be great always. You just got to be great when you have to be. The United Players came up clutch, and they're on their way to a rematch with the Patty's Twins, a team that they can tango with. They put up big scores against the Twins all year. I expect that to continue this week. And they did something else, man. They gave squad underestimated their comeuppance. Squad was surviving by the squid of their teeth, and the United Players ended them. So hats off to them. I know that it wasn't as sexy as we probably expected it to be, but a playoff win is a playoff win. They're on their way to the Final Four, so it was a good week, I think, for the United Players. My bad, I'm going to have to go, and it's not really for the season because I thought they did well considering what was going on for them all season. My bad is ATG this week, and it's not that they did anything bad. It was more just how things shook out. No Lamar Jackson. This is the second time in a clutch playoff play to win to get in situation that Lamar was not present for ATG. That hurts them big time. We saw the pouty face on Mike Evans' face when he left the matchup on Sunday night. That Cardinals coach lost. It was really a microcosm of their season. I mean, it just seemed like when they went down, it was bad news for them Thursday night. They got that with the Chiefs this year, or excuse me, in the matchup. And then, Lamar Jackson's unavailability, that killed them too. So those two things added up to end their season. The only reason it's bad because they still have a lot of options. They still have a great nucleus of players, and I mean they're still a team that will be reckoned with in the future in the Omega Conference. And I'm gonna piggyback off of what you said. My ugly is squad underestimated, and I mean you know what, their little attempt at the beginning of the season, it failed, man, and it failed big time. I mean, and it got another team kicked out of the league. Now moving forward for squad underestimated, it is going to be interesting for them because they are a fixture of the PPL. I mean, they do the opening song for PPL Live. I mean, this is somebody that we expect to have around for years to come. And it is going to be interesting to see where they go from here, because this was the season of no excuses. And I'm sure this is a season that left a bitter taste in their mouth, and it left a bitter taste in the mouth of the league. But hey, moving forward, they have a chance to go forward. But it was an ugly season all around for Squad, and it's going to be interesting to see, like you said, what they do going forward. That being said, man, let's jump into it. To the victors go the spoils, man. Give me your MVP of Wild Card Weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be Cooper Kupp. I mean,
Yeah.
you mentioned his performance. It just wasn't the performance. It's the manner in when it occurred.
Right.
I mean,
On a Tuesday of all
you know,
days.
I mean, yeah, exactly. We're talking about extraordinary circumstance where we're talking the game was potentially going to be canceled or delayed again 3 days. And I mean, UP was dead to rights.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to say Squad at 90 points
Yeah.
was punching a ticket. And, you know, he really needed
A big-time
really
performance.
Sony
Yeah.
Michel and Cooper Kupp, frankly, to come through. But, you know, Cooper doing what he did in the fashion that he did.
Yeah.
I mean, he's. I mean, again, just a stud out there. He's
Yeah.
really been a core for the United players all season.
Yeah.
But this performance in particular, without it,
Yeah.
this team's not playing this week.
Right.
So yeah, I've got to say he was my MVP.
Okay. I'm going to go in a different direction, man. While Cooper's performance was clutch and it was pretty amazing to watch, I'm going to go with the guy who had been in a slump for weeks and weeks and weeks. We weren't even sure we were going to get out of this guy. I mean, and he came up big time. And that's going to be my man Travis Kelce for Only for the Boss. I mean, this guy came up with huge runs after the catch. This is what really set Only for the Boss up, because with those big plays, that helped escalate Patrick Mahomes as well. Travis Kelce was a man amongst boys in that matchup, and he came up clutch. I mean, that touchdown in overtime, I mean, we can say what we want, but I felt like that touchdown in overtime probably was what pretty much did it for that matchup early on. And that's how ridiculous Travis Kelce's performance was. It was a very high impact, and I think that impact may continue into the final 4 rounds. So hats off to Travis Kelce for his performance. That being said, let's segue Travis Kelce and Only for the Boss. Let's get into it as we get into our first matchup of Final 4 weekend, as we have the number 5 seed, the first 5 seed to make the Final 4 in PPL history, Only for the Boss, taking on the number 1 seed, the Imperial Throne Occupiers, the Argonauts, the Alpha Conference champions. All right, man, obviously these two teams squared off in last year's Final 4 round when the Boss was the 4 seed and the Argonauts was the 1 seed, and the Boss were able to knock out the 1 seed Argonauts that year. Obviously this year they're even lower seed, they're 5th seed, and the Argonauts come in at the top of the PPO once again. What do you think of this matchup? The Argonauts, who had the bye week last week, coming up against Only for the Boss, who scratched and clawed their way week after week to get themselves in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. I mean, going back to last year's finals and Only for the Boss, ending the Argos run, and frankly, I thought that was probably it looked like a better team at the time.
Right.
But, you know, a much different composition. The Argo were able to get a piece of that major composition. Tyreek now on his side.
Right.
And you know, I think, you know, ever since that matchup, it's been all Argo.
Okay.
I mean, you know, they've won both of their matchups by almost a combined 100 points this season. Like, these games have not even been close this year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a tough one, though, because when you look at these teams, I mean, Only for the Boss, I mean, they have top 10 placements everywhere.
Right.
Except the running back position.
Okay.
And again, that's what's plagued them all season. You look at the other side, there's not a starting position on the Argo that is not top 10.
Okay.
So, I mean, you're talking about high caliber teams right here. I think, you know, I wouldn't want to have more offensive guys than the Kansas City Chiefs right now. I mean, that offense is really starting to crack. Their defense is starting to get stopped, so they're getting more opportunities.
Right.
You know, the New England play with Stephon, I understand why you're doing it, but New England has stifled Buffalo as of late.
They have.
Justin Jefferson, again, I think this is a good diversity play. We just talked about Kelsey, but he's in a protocol, so Kelsey may not be available in this
Right,
game.
that could be big.
Yeah, I mean, we just talked about Deebo Samuel, which I think, is a great addition this season.
Yeah, huge draft pick. I mean, one man's loss is another man's gain. I mean, talked about squad dropping the ball on Deebo, only for the boss picked it up and ran with it, man.
I'm telling you. And then right here, this is one of those key areas that we're chewing time, and only for the boss has the Vikings coach on their bench. Vikings are playing the Rams. I don't think that's a good play at all. So I would have expected him to already find a head coach play.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure that there are teams already out there jockeying right now for head coaches. So it's going to get slimmer there.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side, again, Dak and Zeke, I mean, they've got a picture-perfect matchup coming back to Dallas, have been on the road a lot, could really lock in solid playoff position. It's just been stagnant. I mean, when you've got Jerry Jones talking about you potentially slump, like, that ain't good.
Yeah.
Dalvin's been coming back strong since the injury. Cleveland Devontae, I mean, Cleveland's got a great pass rush, but I mean, he could get loose.
Yeah.
If Aaron gets going. Again, check on Travis Kelce though. Is Tyreek Hill is also in a COVID protocol.
Right. That could be huge, man, for this whole matchup.
Exactly. There's that big X factor, and if one or both of these guys, I mean, but this hurts Patrick Mahomes. I mean, this has taken his two primary weapons away.
Right.
George Kittle's been a man on fire lately. Najee Harris has looked like the number one pick. I don't know if I would trust the Buccaneers coach after what I saw last week. So I think that this game will be a lot closer than previous Argo and only for the boss matchups, but I think, as has been the case, Argo dominates this game.
Okay.
Alpha Conference teams have not been able to touch them. I've got them going 130 to 128.
Oh, wow. Real close, man. Real close. I'm going to agree with you, man. I got the Argonauts in this matchup also. I think that this is going to be a good one, but I think the Chiefs, they gave you that big explosion last week. They've got guys in COVID protocol, so they're not even practicing this week. That's not a good sign for them either. I think that's going to slow Patrick Mahomes down, because there were periods in that Charger game he even struggled, but he was able to get those big plays off to Kelce and Hill, which would really change this outlook. Where I think this matchup is going to really turn early is in that Tennessee matchup with the 49ers. Obviously, Kittle is the one of the top breadwinners for the Argonauts over the past few weeks, and it's also been a top source for points for only for the boss when you look at Deebo Samuel, and they got Jeff Wilson Jr. coming into this matchup. The Titans are really stingy against the run, so that might be a tougher place for only for the boss to go, but Deebo's still one of their top targets in the passing game, so that helps the boss in either way. It's going to be a 2 against 1. If the boss can somehow come out of that with the lead, that's going to be really good for their chances. But if the Argonauts find a way to come out of it with the lead, I think that they're going to run away with this one. I'm looking down the stretch. Rashad Penny going up. I thought that was a great pickup, but he kind of got phased out this last matchup. I expect them to get him back in. The Stephon Diggs thing, they've rolled the guy all year. They've got to. Justin Jefferson could draw our boy Jalen Ramsey. The Miami defense, I do think that's a good play. Now, on the Argonaut side, I think this matchup is honestly going to come down to whether Dak Prescott plays well or not. I mean, he has been underwhelming since Thanksgiving. Since the matchup was squad underestimated on Thanksgiving, he has not been good ever since then. I'm looking at other guys. If Tyreek Hill's in the protocol, the Argonauts are really fond of T. Higgins. And it's going to be interesting to see who they go with in the Nick Chubb, Ezekiel Elliott conversation, because that might also turn this matchup. But in the end, I think the Argonauts have too many horses. I think Tampa Bay bounces back, getting Antonio Brown and Mike Evans into the lineup. Tom was just short on targets last week, and it was just a bad matchup against the Saints team that has just made him look mortal over the years. Behind that, I say the Argonauts get the win, 136 to only for the bosses 124. And moving on to our next matchup, we go into a high-scoring matchup, a matchup of true prestige. Two teams separated by 1 game in the Omega Conference, as we have the United Players, the Destroyers, survivors of Wild Card Weekend, taking on the Omega Conference champions, Patty's Twins. All right, man, so we've seen it. United Players, the Destroyers, they survived. They punched their ticket. They're in the Final Four round again. The number 3 seed going up against the number 2 seed, Patty's Twins, the Omega champs. Austin Eckler in the protocol, but the Twins, even on the bye week, seem to flex muscle. Aaron Rodgers looks like he's ramping up for a championship repeat for Patty's Twins. But of course, on the United Players side, we know Tom's going to come back for vengeance. What do you think of this matchup? Tom Brady and the United Players going up against Aaron Rodgers and Patty's Twins.
Yeah, as you said, I mean, just looking at the matchups of this season, I mean, they have been some of the most exciting matchups.
Best matchups of the year, man, by far.
I mean, I'm so happy that we're going to get to see a third one of these. I mean, the one we just saw in Week 13, fireworks.
173 to 167, man.
And when I look at this matchup, I mean, it comes down to just a few intangibles. I mean, like you said, I think Tom Brady's due for a bounce back.
Okay.
I mean, I mentioned trust issues with that Bucs coach. I think you can trust him.
Okay.
I think that Tom and company are going to get it done. I like this roster, and I like that what they're doing.
Okay.
Up and down, I think that the big thing for me with this UP roster is get Chris Godwin out.
Right.
Get Devin Singletary in.
Right. I was surprised that Devin sat last week, man.
I'm right there with you. I mean, but the fact is with him in the lineup, if they're going to have success in New England, they're going to have to develop a run game. He's going to have to be involved.
Yeah.
And this team's frankly going to need it.
Okay.
When I look at the other side, like you said, big thing is Eckler in a protocol. I mean, this team has been leading on the run, and as the Twins have gone, so has the league. I mean, you know, a lot in years past, you had to have that marquee quarterback. This year, having those solid running backs, and, you know, with the UP losing Henry, I mean, the Twins find themselves with the 1 and 2 back right now.
Right.
Not having the number 2 back in your you know.
He's vaccinated, so he could clear protocol, man.
I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, you know, there's a lot of players arguing about what the rules are. You know, there's some lack of clarity with some of the stuff. We've seen games get moved. We'll have to see what happens here. Regardless, I mean, if he can go, great. If not, I think, you know, the UP's got the Twins have, you know, a few options that they could explore. If not here, there's some in free agency.
Right.
But I'll say it, you know, here, the biggest matchup for me is the quarterback.
Okay.
You know, if I was the Twins, I wouldn't go Aaron Rodgers. I think, again, knowing how the scoring is in the PPL, the Cleveland Browns have been able to get quite a few sacks.
Okay.
And I'm curious if that isn't something that affects Aaron Rodgers, maybe gets into his gameplay. One side. The other is you have Matthew Stafford. He's a better quarterback in fantasy terms right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the major check on the guy that we just talked about balling out last week, Cooper Kupp. So the Twins, I think, could really handcuff the potential of the UP. And again, they've already got the Rams coach. So what are you doing? Not starting Matthew Stafford. You're already saying they're going to win. I think you got to go all in here with the Rams and that factors. The fact is, that's not how the lineup's set.
Okay.
So I actually have the UP getting it done this week. And I think further point before I do the score call is I think that this may be an example of the new playoff format causing its first victim.
Oh.
You know, because if you look at previous years, our playoffs had 2 weeks combined score to take you through. You know, the Twins scored 131 last week. They'd be really in a driver's seat position in this game.
Right.
The fact that that's not the case, I mean, again, not everybody wins out in these new formats, but again, got to win each week. And with that being said, I've got the UP again in a leave no doubt performance. I think that they can get it done with the pieces that they have. One of the highest scoring teams this year,
right?
Going 145 to the Twins 131.
Okay, I'm going the other way. You know I was going the other way when you made that pick. This team just lost Chris Godwin, man. This team struggled to get to 90 last week. And, I mean, I think Tom and Tampa Bay are going to bounce back, but they're still on the road, man. That game's going to leave a sour taste in their mouth. Chris Godwin was his safety blanket, even more so than Gronk is at this point. And I think it is going to have a detrimental effect on the United players' production. On Patty's Twins side, you just said it, man. They put up 131 last week. Scoring isn't a problem for this team. This team can continue to put up the points. And I'm loving Austin Eckler's matchup if he is available against the Houston Texans. And I'm loving Keenan Allen in that exact same matchup. Jonathan Taylor going up against Arizona. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if you was watching. I'm sure you were, Ulysses. You were watching that Arizona game. I'm not impressed anymore with these guys. I think Jonathan Taylor can have a big game on Saturday, setting the Twins up for a huge run. I get what you're saying about Matthew Stafford being a check on Sony Michel and Cooper Kupp, but Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, and he's been very, very hot over the last few weeks. He's really ramped up his play. He scored, 30 in week 12, week 14, 30, and then he had 22 last week in a game that he didn't really have to do much in. It was a pedestrian performance for him, but it was still a big one where he got 22 points. I think they're fine with Aaron Rodgers there. On the UP side, why is David Johnson even in that lineup? Why isn't Devin Singletary starting? It's the things like this, man, that have got me wondering how this team even got out of that round. Now, they were my good, but they were my good for certain reasons. The reason being is that finding a way to win in the playoffs is finding a way to win in the playoffs. But if they continue with these kinds of lineups, I'm not liking their chances. Now, Mike Williams is a potential check on Keenan Allen. I'll acknowledge that. Rob Gronkowski needs to probably get back in the fold, especially with no Chris Godwin being available. But they're going Tampa Bay defense. They're still keeping all their eggs in that basket. I do like the Chiefs coach. And, I mean, I'm not even sure the Twins won't go somewhere else. Remember, the waiver wire hasn't gone through because of the late delay in games. So some lineups may be even looking different. That being said, I think the Twins find a way to get it done. I think the United players are going to, run out of the options of points here. They've been able to find a little bit here and there everywhere. Even with a big game from Cooper Kupp, I got Patty's Twins going back to defend their Pantheon Cup title, 132 to the UP's 119. Alrighty, PPLers, thanks for another great week of PPL Live. Man, we get started right out the gate with the San Francisco 49ers. George Kittle and the Argo going up against Jeff Wilson, Deebo Samuel, and only for the boss to start out. Then we jump ourselves to the Sunday night game where we'll see Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, seeing if they can close out the Argonauts and send them back to the Pantheon Cup. And then at the end of the day, on Monday Night Football, we've got Alvin Kamara and the Saints. Nobody of consequence there. Oh, the boss does have the Miami defense, so maybe that defense can hold the line only for the boss. You guys have a great football week.